can go back and watch it later. All right. Cool. So this is what we're making. It is a thing where you have how do I explain that? It's you kind of have a solid surface that gets these cuts that transition into it. And so we're going to be learning how to do that in Fusion 360. And my voice is just a little off because I am still recovering from oral surgery, so I don't have full control over my mouth right now. Sorry, ladies. So let's start with a blank canvas. Okay. And are we ready to go? Is this everybody? Everybody ready? Let's get a confirmation from everybody in the chat that we are ready to go. Brandon, you're gonna get the screen share. You scroll up in the chat a little bit, or I'll just link it again to the Twitch. All right, let's do it, boys. So, and guys, feel free to stop me if you have any questions. If you just don't know what I said, we can go as fast or as slow as you guys want. You're in control. So, let's get started. And Brandon, we're making this today. It's a thingy in Fusion 360. Cool. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the profile of the form. So you can see with this, often with 3D modeling, first thing you're going to do when you're creating a cylindrical form, if it's not just a straight cylinder, you're going to draw like the profile out. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to start with a sketch, and when I start a sketch, I don't know, I hit like R or something to draw a rectangle, and I just select the plane and draw on, and then I'll go and select my sketch tool. So I'm going to grab my line tool, and I'm going to first draw the base of my form, and then I'm going to draw the center line of it and the top. It's important to draw the center line because that's how your form closes, and it's also the axis that you're going to revolve around. Then I'm going to grab this tool up here, which is the fit point spline, to just draw out a nice kind of curved shape. And then you can go in and move kind of these control points around until you create a form that you're happy with. And I'm not sure how we want to do this, guys. Do you want me to just power through, or do you want me to wait for you all to catch up so you can follow directly along with me? Any preferences? Because there'll be a recording afterwards, so it's up to you guys. What is Tag Bank? Okay, sure. I'll go all the way through it at like a medium speed, and then we can go back through it, and you guys can do it yourselves and ask questions along the way. With the mute on, it's hard to stop. Oh, it's hard. What does that mean, Drew? With the mute on, it's hard to stop. What does that mean? Okay. Why don't you tell me what that means? I'm gonna keep going. So we're gonna finish the sketch on the right hand side there. Okay. Okay, cool. So now we have our profile. And I'm gonna use a revolve. And our profile is already selected. If it wasn't selected, you just select it. And then you select your axis, which is this form here. creating a new body, 360 degrees, beautiful. So there we go. There is our form that we're going to be playing with. And if you don't like the form, you can go back down here to your sketch, right click on it and hit edit sketch. And then we can go back in and move it around a bit and try and create a form that you're happier with. That looks alright. Actually, it looks pretty ugly. I think it needs to be slimmed out a bit. I'm gonna bring this in, something like that. That's a little nicer. Something about the base, not quite right. If we do like that, screw it. We're not here to make beautiful forms. We're here to learn technique. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So, the first thing to do in order to get our sections, that curve, is, and this is what I do, and I'm sure there's plenty of ways to do it, but this is what I figured out, is I just hit, okay, I selected the bottom face here, and I hit C to draw a circle. And now I select that center point, and I make my circle larger than the largest part of my form, okay? There's no specific math here, it's just larger than. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a line. I hit L to grab my line tool, and I'm drawing it from the center to the edge, okay? Now I hit escape just to get rid of the tool. I'm gonna select my line here, and go up to create circular pattern. With my line selected, I select the center point here as my center point. And now you can see that we have a pattern happening. You can kind of move this around to increase it. And the type is full, which means that it'll just divide however many pieces you want evenly. And I'm going to do 20. Okay? And so what this is defining right now is the thickness of those sections. So how thick each of these sections is. Okay? So I'm going to finish the sketch. And there we go. All right. What we're going to do now is we select the top plane. And I'm going to hit P for project. And all of these shortcuts, you can also just hit them. You can also just find them in here somewhere. I don't know. Project is somewhere in there. I hit P for project. And I'm going to project the circle, which means I'm going to take the circle from the bottom and project it, meaning create a copy of it at the new plane that I'm working on. And I'm also going to grab a couple of these lines and project them as well. Okay? And I'm doing a few so we have some options, because what I'm about to do next, you'll understand. So here we go. We have the thing at the bottom, the thing at the top, fully enclosing our form here. And we're going to create a loft. And what the loft will do is we're going to select a section, one of these little pie slices from the top, and make sure that you select not just the outer portion of it, but the inner portion as well. And then we're going to select a pie slice from the bottom, and not the one directly under it, unless you want to have a straight kind of sweep, but we're going to select one of the ones off to the side. And what you'll see is that we now have this cut that kind of arcs through our form. So we hit OK. You can see what that did. Okay? And this is the basis of the whole operation. All right. Any questions so far? You guys doing good? All right. So over on our left-hand side here, I'm going to open up our bodies panel. We have our body one, And we're gonna make, Tag, you have a question? Okay. We're going to make a copy of this. It's very important that we have a copy of it. So I'm going to hit M for move and copy. I'm going to hit create copy. And I don't know, this is the most terrible way to make a copy of something, but I'm just going to, you have to move it for it to create a copy. So I move it a little bit, and I'm going to take it, and I'm going to move it back. All right. So now we have two of the same exact thing here. We have two because one of them we're going to cut up. So I'm going to hide the first one here. Okay, so now we're just working with this one body. And we're going to start cutting it up. So we're going to do that with using planes, offset planes. So we're going to, up here under construct, we're going to hit offset plane. First, we're going to select the bottom of our piece. And this first plane is going to define where we want these to stop, where we want to stop like doing indenting and stuff and go back to being a straight circle. Okay, so, or where it starts, whatever. Okay, I'm going to create another offset plane from this one, and this is where I like to consider this kind of like the major indent, like where we want the most indented portion to be. And on this one, I have that right in the middle of the bulge, where it's the most indented. So that's where this is, kind of right in the middle of the bulge. We're going to create another plane, and this one's going to define where we want the texturing to stop. Okay. So now we have our three planes, and these define basically the entire area that our like texture is going to live in. So now we're going to use these planes to cut our body. And we're going to do that by going up into modify, split body, and we select first our body split, which is this. And our splitting tools are our three planes, so 1, 2, 3. Great. So now our body has been split into multiple sections, and I like to just organize these so that they're in order. So there's 1, there's 2, so we're going to drag this up so that we have boom, boom, 3, 4, beautiful, and then our whole body section there. And I'm going to turn on, I'm just going to hide all of our construction lines because we don't really need those anymore. Okay, so now here's our split body. Okay, everybody following along so far? So now what we have to do is within these cut sections, within these cut sections, we're going to define what the profile of our pattern here is going to look like. And you can do anything for this profile. We're doing just a simple indent for the demo, but you can do whatever you want at home, all alone with your computer. So first we're going to start, I like to start at the bottom. So I hid all these other ones so that it's kind of just easier to see what I'm working on. I'm going to hit C to draw a circle. And I'm going to draw a construction circle. So I just check construction over there from the center point to the edge. And it just locks right on. Okay, so now we have a circle there. And actually, at the bottom, it is a circle. There's no indenting at the bottom because the idea is that it transitions. And so we're actually going to make that not a construction circle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw some lines to basically define this pie shape. I'm going to turn off construction. So one line there, one line there. Our shape is defined. I'm going to hit T just to open up my trimming tool. I'm just going to trim away all that extra stuff that we don't need. Okay, so now you can see that we have our first little pie shape defined. Okay, and we're going to do the exact same thing here, because as part of our transition, we want it to go back to being just a normal cylinder at the bottom. So I'm going to hit C to draw my circle, lock it onto the corner there, hit L to grab my line tool, and just define, again, my pie shape. Hit T, okay, it's acting weird. I think that's fine. Actually, it's not fine. We are going to delete that because it's acting weird. Instead, we're going to just use a center point arc. We're going to start with the center point arc at the center, and then we go corner to corner. Now we have a nice defined pie shape. Great. Let's do the next section, which is this part here. So we're going to, and now this is where our form starts to take shape. So it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go into sketching mode. And because I want a symmetrical indent, the way I'm going to do that is I draw with construction lines. So I hit L for line tool, and then I check construction. You can also hit X to open up construction mode. I'm going to draw a line from this corner to this corner. And then I'm going to draw a line from the center through the midpoint, and it will just lock it onto there for you. If it doesn't lock it on for you, which it will, you can always use relations. So if you select first your center line here and then the crossbeam, you can just hit perpendicular, and it will throw it right there in the center for you. Great. So now that we have that kind of center line defined, we're going to draw a arc. I'm going to use a 3-point arc. And a 3-point arc works by selecting first one corner, then the other corner, and then you get to define where it goes. And I'm just going to reach over here and turn off construction, and just basically create as much of an indent as I want to see there. Okay. And then I'm going to finish it off with some lines to define our pie shape. It's actually unnecessary. I just like to do it. There we go. So now we have our 3 shapes right here that are transitioning from cylindrical to indented. So let's open up our next body. And now, in this upper section here is where we want it to go from being indented to being cylindrical again. So we're going to grab our shape here. We're going to do the same thing that we did on the other ones, which is, and we're going to start just by drawing our lines to define our pie shape. And then I'm going to go and create a center point arc, selecting the middle, and then our 2 sections there. Beautiful. Finish sketch. Okay, and then we have our final shape here at the top. I'm going to draw a circle, and then I'm going to draw our lines, 1, 2, and I'm going to trim away the rest of the circle. Great. So now you have the basis for what we're going to do. This is where it gets fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here on the top to surface mode. I'm going to create a loft. We're going to loft from all of our little sections here. There you go. Now we have a surface that is one little quadrant of the form that we initially created. But there's one more step, and you'll see if we open up our whole body that the form doesn't quite align to the edges. Things are a little off. See that? And so to fix that, we're going to add rails, and that's what this body is for here. We're going to select one rail on this edge and a rail on this edge. And now our surface perfectly fits in that 1/20th section of our whole cylinder. So we're hit OK to create that new body. And now we have a surface body. We can hide this. And there is our surface. Okay? So now, to turn this into the whole thing, all we have to do is go up here into Create, Pattern, Circular Pattern, and select our objects. And then in Axis, we're going to select our center axis. And remember that we cut it up into 20 pieces, so we're going to put in 20 and hit OK. And there you have it. That is pretty much it, but let's just wrap it all up, because right now we have 20 different surface bodies. So we're going to go up into Stitch and then just select the whole thing. And you can see these green lines are saying that all of those edges can be stitched together. And it's red around the bottom and top because it can't stitch that whole circle together, but we'll do that. Hit OK. So now you'll see that all those 20 bodies turned into one surface. And then we're going to go into Patch. Patch. We're going to patch the bottom. Beautiful. And we're going to patch the top. Okay? So now you'll see that we have these three surfaces, the body, the bottom, and the top. And you go stitch one more time and stitch the whole thing together. And when you stitch a closed shape together, you create a solid body. And you can see if we go into Inspect and Section Analysis, that it's all full, a whole solid form, which is exactly what we want. Now I'll go back into solid mode. And I mean, this is where you get to do whatever you want with your body now. So if you want, you can hit F to grab your fillet tool, or just select it up there. You can select the bottom face, add a fillet to it. And things take longer now to load because this is kind of an intense form. So you can fill up the base and the top, whatever you want. And now we can go over here. You can go into Modify, Shell, or it's just right here. And you select that base, 0.01. It just needs to load for a second. Let's see what it comes up with. There you go. Now you have a shelled body. It's a little bit thin. Let's go 0.05. Let it load. Beautiful. All right. So that's pretty much it. Very quick and easy. Once you know how to do it. Now, if you guys want, I can show you how I then take this into, say, Blender and render it out. Or you can ask any other questions. You can try and do it yourself. I'm happy to stick around for as long as you need me to, if you want to figure it out. And yeah. Cool. Thanks, guys. Here, check this out. I'll show you in 2 minutes what I'll now do in Blender. So I already here we are in Blender, and I already exported a file from Fusion, which I can show you how to do. Great. Well then, stick around. This will be quick. So here we are in Blender, and I'm going to import a FBX. And here is an FBX of our file. Okay. And this is one I made earlier. It's not the one that we just did, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm going to create a plane, because I'm going to create a seamless backdrop for our file here. So I'm going to grab our edge here, and I'm going to go quick in here because there's a lot to learn in Blender, and I'm not going to be able to teach it to you in a few minutes. Shade that smooth, shade that smooth. Okay. We're going to create a new camera and set up a shot, and I'm going to change our distance to 90. Great. I'm going to adjust our material here. Okay. And we're going to lock down our camera. Great. So we have our seamless, our camera. Let's get some lighting set up. I'm just going to do a simple light setup. Something to maybe mimic having maybe like an open, like a large window off to the side. Just get some nice kind of soft lighting from a big window. We're going to rendered mode. Let's up this to 2000. Okay. Soft shadows. Beautiful. Let's add a material to our backdrop. Let's make it nice and soft. I like soft. Maybe it's like a kind of a ivory paper going on. Okay. And maybe we want a light adding some, just some highlights on the edge of our body here, just so that you get some edge lighting, rim lighting. Let's see, something like that, just so you like light up some of those edges. Cycle, let's see how this looks. Yeah, we have something going on here. Now, one thing about bringing meshes from like Fusion into Blender is that you're switching from this. They import kind of weird because Blender is mesh modeling, and so it's not going to. You can't really do as much with the mesh as you'd maybe like to. When it comes to like texturing, and like you can even see that the model's a little weird. If we open up what this mesh looks like, it's a little messy. You would never model like this in Blender. But that's all right. So one thing we're going to do maybe is try and add some texture to it. Maybe give it some sort of, maybe like a powder coated look. That's kind of cool. Not what we're doing, but it's kind of cool. Okay. So we're going to add a noise texture. Let's see what that'll do. Beautiful. Scale that so it's really fine. And what I'm going to use the noise texture for is creating that kind of bumpy look of powder coated. So I'm going to use a color ramp. Can you smooth the mesh in 360? Not really. It really sucks bringing stuff from Fusion into Blender. And that's just a fact. Really, you can go from Fusion to KeyShot or just model straight in Blender is really the best way to do things. If you want my opinion. So I'm using this color ramp to switch it to just black and white. Let's up that grain some. Okay. I'm putting it into the base color just so I can see what's happening. It's easier to edit. But really we're going to turn this into like some surface imperfection. Great. So now I'm going to add what do we want to do? Let's bring in a normal map and a bump. Take that out of our color. I'm going to go into the height here and bring that normal into the color there. Bring that into our normal. Let's see if that does what we want to do. Sick. Don't you love when stuff works? But it's still looking maybe a little bit too intense. Let's look at our camera. Rendered. Yeah, it's looking a little whack. Not gonna lie. So I think our bump is probably a little bit too high. So let's just tone that down some. Oh yeah. We are in business. I think we got something. Something. I wonder if they'll let us clean that edge up. No, I don't think so. Oh well. Okay. Cool. So then what I'll do is, what color do we want it? I kind of like maybe a light blue. Let's go this a little bit more saturation. Okay. Snap into our lamp. Nope. That looks good. Cycles. Cool. Render, turn that up to maybe 64 samples. And let's see. Here's, yeah, I can do maybe 75%. Maybe we'll do 50%. Just so you guys can see some output here. And sorry, I'm just clicking around right now. I'm not telling you guys what's going on. I'm just getting a render set up. 56, 56. Okay. So now I'm gonna go render this image out. Let's see what we get. Is there a fillet edge cheat for import geometry like in KeyShot or nah? Yes and no. With weird imported geometry, it's not great. And I'm not really the guy to ask about that. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I know there's some good ways to do it. Like in the material, you can add like a bevel. And you can put that bevel into the normal, and it's supposed to like do something. I'm I don't really know how it works. You can see there's some weird shit going on, but oh, sometimes you get weird shit. And that kind of has to do with the mesh being whack. Maybe we can clean it up a little bit. Let's see. Hopes are low, boys. But spirits are super high. Super high spirits. Yeah, you can see this mesh is really crappy. Anyways, this wasn't supposed to be a Blender demo. If you're doing this in Blender, you can see that like you can create like a nice clean mesh that doesn't have like all the crap in it. And we can take this material, drop it on there. Ooh, yeah. Any other questions? You're all just going hard, making things. I hope so. Yeah, man, no problem. Sure. You're welcome. No problem. Here. I'll stop the recording and maybe upload to Dropbox or something.